Thank you for tuning in to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. Whether you're listening during your commute, while working out, or just relaxing at home, we appreciate you. Every download, every listen, and every subscription means a lot. Up next, the 12 Kyle podcast.
I don't know anybody, even the greatest golfers, that game will humble you. It will truly humble you because the thing is that you're not playing against the people that you're playing with. You're playing against the course. And I remember people talking about Tiger Woods when Tiger was in his prime. And prime Tiger was, you couldn't stop him, right? You couldn't drive the ball as far as he drove the ball. Your short game wasn't as impeccable as Tiger's. And his laser sharp focus was unmatched. And even Tiger struggles at golf. And I'm not even talking about now where his body's all broken down and all kind of stuff like that. And he probably should be playing with me, on the golf course. And I'm not that good. I tell people all the time, like, I am truly a scratch golfer. Whatever I score, I scratch it off and write something else. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. And thank you for subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I am your boy 12 Kyle. I want to thank you all for tuning in as you do each and every week. Shout out to those of you who are watching on YouTube as well as Spotify. Man, check this out. All right, you see the title. I'll make it really simple. We had a discussion in our group chat the other day, and there was a tweet that was posted, and I'm going to read to you the tweet. The tweet says, "What major sport is the easiest to be good at?" I'll start with my answer, and it is basketball. And that was from somebody named Marty Mush. Shout out to Marty. Shout out to the homie BZ430 for putting it in the group chat, in our Dead End Sports group chat. Shout out to the whole Dead End Sports crew and our group chat, which is popping all day, every day. I never really considered it, but when you think about the major sports, and I'm talking about baseball as far as MLB, NBA, which is basketball, National Hockey League, hockey, and the NFL, as well as tennis, golf, bowling, any of the major sports. And I'm not talking about like cricket. You got to put soccer in there as well. But there are a lot of sports out there that we play that I think people don't think is hard. And there are some sports that are very, very hard that I think people think are relatively easy. But, it really depends on who you ask. But because it got thrown in the group chat, and when I tell you, this was an argument that started from maybe 7:30 in the morning until easily 10 o'clock that night. And it was just back and forth about what sport or who could do what have you. Now, I don't have these ranked in any particular order, but I will tell you the sports that I think are the most difficult to play. And I'll start with the easiest to the hardest. I think soccer is relatively easy. It's not an easy sport, but I think it's easier to play. And the reason being is because, there's a great amount of skill that you have to use. But the good part about it is you're only using your feet. With soccer, unless you're the goalie, you can't touch the ball with your hands. Can't touch a soccer ball. So, it's just your footwork and everything like that. But again, it takes speed, it takes agility, it takes quickness. All of the above to play soccer. I don't want to dismiss it and make you think that I think playing soccer is easy. I've never played soccer, and it's a very popular sport in the world. It's probably the world's biggest sport, if you will. In fact, they don't even call it soccer. They call it football. And, at the time of this recording, we got the World Cup coming up in a few months, and some games will be played here in the city in which I live of Atlanta, Georgia. In fact, I'm going to check out some games. I don't think I'll be going to the games in person because the games, they want like 20 grand for a ticket. Who does that? Certainly not me. Nonetheless, I think soccer is relatively easy. All things considered, I think soccer is relatively easy. Um, what else? Swimming. Swimming is relatively easy. Now, I will never diminish the accomplishments of one Michael Phelps, who's one of the greatest athletes this country has ever seen. But as someone who grew up with a pool in their backyard, if you can swim, I mean, that's cool. But I mean, like the skill and the breath that it takes to swim laps in a pool is incredible. And I didn't have an Olympic sized pool. I just had a regular pool that went to 8 feet. Um, but I would say swimming is relatively easy when compared to these other sports. Um, what else? Bowling. Now, I'll be honest. I'm not a good bowler at all. But I will get out there and fake the funk. I will try to be cool. I don't know how to put the spin on the ball. I have the utmost respect for bowlers. My wife is a very good bowler. She grew up bowling with her parents. Um, that being said, you're rolling the ball down an alley. I mean, again, not to diminish it, because I know there are going to be some of you. Oh man, I can't believe you said that about bowling. Nah, relax. I don't think it's that hard, relatively speaking, when you compare what these other sports are. Um, what else? I would say tennis is a very difficult sport to play. I know this because my daughter plays tennis. And right now, she could whip my ass. She is that good. And I'm not that good at tennis. But tennis, relatively speaking, is an easier sport to play when you look at the list of sports to play. Um, and then I will go hockey. I'd say hockey is um, probably a fairly easy sport to play. Um, but being able to, one, skate on ice ain't easy, and then two, to be able to skate on ice while moving this puck with this stick, and there's somebody beating you or running into you and running you into the boards and those type of things. No, that's not easy at all. At easy at all. That takes a level of skill that I'm not qualified to play. Um, but I do know how to skate on ice, and I think that's so dope. I hadn't mastered skating backwards, but that's another sort of subject for another day. Um, what else? When I start thinking about the other sports, it gets a little, as I'm going up, it gets a little bit more difficult. Um, Definitely basketball. Basketball relatively is easy. And basketball really, when you're working on your skill set, it really doesn't require anything but you with a basketball and a rim. That's it. I mean, like, you don't have to have 15 people to play basketball. You can go in your yard and shoot by yourself. Um, I often marvel at the skill of NBA athletes, because these are, in most cases, very, very large human beings. And the skill set in which they move is incredible. It's phenomenal. I remember seeing Shaq play for the first time, and I was fortunate enough to have like courtside seats. And you don't think a human that big could be that swift and relatively light on his feet. Um, it's one thing to go to a basketball game and see them from the stands and you're up high, but being up close and personal on the floor, you have a different appreciation, because you understand that these are human beings and they're very big and they move, with a lot of grace and skill. I also said the same once I saw LeBron up close. Um, Again, had courtside seats to a Hawks game here in the city, and seeing LeBron up close, you don't understand how big that man is. Pause. And he at the time, he was probably in his quote unquote prime. Um, as I get a phone call. Shout out to King Germ, who's calling me in the middle of this podcast. Um, but yeah, I mean, just to see that's crazy to me. But I would say that basketball is an easier sport to play. Then I would say the NFL, football in particular. Um, People think that it's just easy just to run up and down the field and run into each other. No, first of all, it takes a level of crazy to play football. Because I think, and I say that as a former football player, I think we're all a little crazy to play football. That being said, is also a skill set that you don't really think about because you're moving at the as fast as you can on every single play. And there are people that you're running into on every single play. And it's almost the equivalent of the with as far as the toll that it takes on your body. Just imagine being in a car crash every 30 seconds. That's what it's like. And that's the toll that it takes on your body. But the thing that I'll say, particularly as someone who played wide receiver from Little League all the way through college at South Carolina State University, you have to move at such a pace, and then you're moving and you're running and you're processing things as you're going. That's one of the hardest things to do. You know, with the NBA and basketball, it's a lot of read and react. Um, but in football, it's read and react, but it's also being able to process a lot of information in a very short period of time, and your hand-eye coordination has to be at 1,000%. I always use the example of being able to catch a football while going out of bounds and getting both feet down in bounds. It looks very pretty, but people don't understand the level of skill. And it's not really something you can practice. It's something that I practiced when I was in high school, but it's not really something you can only do it in the game. And the way that you have to make your body twist and contort to understand your awareness of where the line is and getting both feet down, and then catching the ball, which is most important. And then sometimes something as simple as being able to fall. Um, Most football players fall on every play on the ground, and you have to learn how to fall and protect yourself. Even at receiver, if you catch a pass, you have to be able to contort your body, because the one thing you don't want to do is catch the ball and land on the football, because you could break a rib, or even worse, you could get the wind knocked out of you, which is terrible. But yeah, playing football is a very, very difficult sport. It's not as easy as people think it is. I always say if it were that easy, everybody would do it, and everybody doesn't do it. Next up, I would say at number 2 probably is going to be baseball for me, and more specifically, being able to hit a baseball. Keep in mind that in baseball, you're deemed good if you get a hit 3 out of every times that you come up to the plate. Well, I mean, that's 30% or 300 in baseball. You're considered good if you get a hit 3 out of every 10 times. I mean, what else in life could you do 3 out of 10 times and be considered successful? If you make 3 out of 10 free throws, you're terrible. You're not considered a good free throw shooter. If you make 3 out of 10 shot attempts, you're not a good shooter. So, yeah, baseball. And then the ability to stand 90 feet away from the pitcher's mound. No, I think, is it 60 feet? I think the pitcher's mound is 60 feet. It may be 60 feet, 60 or 90 feet. I can't remember. Somebody will look it up. To be able to have less than a half of a second to determine whether or not the pitch that's coming your way is a strike or a ball, and whether or not you have enough bat speed to get the bat off your shoulders to make contact, that skill is impeccable. And it is very difficult. I see why the the people that play baseball get paid what they get paid, other than the fact that they have a great union. But that's beside the point. But it takes a skill. And everybody think baseball is easy until you stand in that plate, and until you're standing at the plate and you realize that this pitch is coming at me at 97 miles an hour, and I've got less than a half a second to swing, and it might hit me in the face. It might hit me in the face. No, no, it's not easy at all. And last but not least is a sport that I don't think, people have a clue. And that is the sport of golf. Golf is extremely difficult to play. People don't understand how hard it is to hit a golf ball. And then once you realize that you can hit a golf ball, one of the most difficult things that you can do is to try to hit a golf ball and hit it straight. And what's interesting is no matter how much you practice, you're not always going to hit that ball straight. There may be times where you hit it in the sweet spot of the club that you're swinging. But that doesn't mean that it's going to go where you want it to go. You're 150 yards away and you pull out that club and you swing, there's no guarantee that that ball is going to go straight to the pin where you're aiming for. It's more than likely going to go to the left or a little to the right. But rarely are you going to hit it straight. And the thing that's always interesting about golf is that no matter how many times you swing that club, no matter how many times you strike that golf ball, no two swings are the same. No two times that you hit the golf ball are the same. It is an extremely difficult and humbling sport. I often say that golf is the one sport that I don't know that you can ever master. And that's saying a lot because people like, let's use Steph Curry for an example. He has mastered the ability to make 3-point shots. Does he make all of them? No, but he makes them at a pretty high clip. And if you leave him open, it's almost like planting him under the basket. It's automatic, right? But that's years and years of skill over time. I don't know anybody, even the greatest golfers, that game will humble you. It will truly humble you because the thing is that you're not playing against the people that you're playing with. You're playing against the course. And I remember people talking about Tiger Woods when Tiger was in his prime. And prime Tiger was, you couldn't stop him, right? You couldn't drive the ball as far as he drove the ball. Your short game wasn't as impeccable as Tiger's. And his laser sharp focus was unmatched. And even Tiger struggles at golf. And I'm not even talking about now where his body's all broken down and all kind of stuff like that. And he probably should be playing with me, pause, on the golf course. And I'm not that good. I tell people all the time, like, I am truly a scratch golfer. Whatever I score, I scratch it off and write something else. But I will unequivocally say that golf is the hardest sport to play. If you don't believe me, try it. And I'm not talking about going to your little local Top Golf or your little local putt spots. I'm talking about getting on a green and playing 18 holes. And playing those 18 holes and walking those 18 holes. Because, see, we have the benefit of getting in a car, trying to, ride around and then try to find our golf ball in the woods. And we're doing it in, 80-degree weather. Imagine doing that in 95-degree weather and it's hot and the cameras and everybody's watching. Golf is extremely difficult. It is the most difficult sport to play. But as difficult as it is, I'll be honest, that is what keeps us coming back. If you don't believe me, try it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me. Thanks again for checking out this edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast. We drop new episodes every Thursday. Also, we sell merch. If you're interested in buying any 12 Kyle podcast merch, click the link in the description box, and there you can find 12 Kyle podcast t-shirts, hoodies, as well as coffee mugs. We got it for the low. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me. Thanks again for checking out this edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I am your boy, 12 Kyle. I'll catch you guys next time. 5,000. Cheer.
Thanks again for listening to this episode of the 12 Kyle podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and share this podcast with a friend who needs the 12 Kyle podcast in their life. Every listen, every download, and every share helps us grow. Thanks for being a part of the 12 Kyle podcast community. We appreciate your support. We will catch you next time. 5,000.